For some time now, Bajaj hasn't offered anything in the 125cc commuter space, but it's now back in the arena with this, the new CT 125X. It's the larger sibling to the CT 110X, so it's got the same rugged commuter vibe going on, but obviously with a larger engine. Let's see what it's all about. This 124cc engine is one that's new to India, but one that Bajaj has been using in export models for some time now. Like the company's other commuters, it uses an e-carb in place of a conventional fuel injection system. And Bajaj says it is focused on maintaining a flat torque curve. In fact, it says 90% of the available torque is available from 3500 to 8000 RPM. This is something you feel as soon as you experience this motor, because it really does feel like it has a very even distribution of torque across the rev range. It's quite tractable right off the bottom and builds linearly all the way to the top end, with no real flat spots to be felt. This has also allowed Bajaj to gear the CT rather well, and it's got ratios that feel fairly tall by commuter standards. If there is one shortcoming with this motor, it's refinement. It's not what you'd call rough, but there is a buzz to be felt in the latter half of the rev range, which is what effectively caps your highway cruising speed at about 75 kph. Though if you do wring this engine out, you can touch 100 kph or even exceed it if you're a light rider. Of course, this being the commuter segment, fuel efficiency is still very much at the forefront of buyers' minds, and Bajaj says that the CT will match its rivals in this department, delivering between 55 and 60 kpl in the real world. This is something we hope to verify when we get some more time to spend with this bike in the future. Bajaj has certainly succeeded at giving the CT 125X a nice tough rugged appearance, and what's nice is that not all of it is purely for show. Those fork gaiters up front do look cool, but they also provide protection to the fork seals from dust. That bash plate under the belly isn't some ornamental plastic unit, it's a metal unit that's beefy and will provide genuine protection. And this rack at the rear feels similarly solid and functional. The minimal headlight grille also does its bit to add to the overall look, but these rubber shrouds on the mirror stalks are an unnecessary attempt to make them look beefier than they actually are. Bajaj quite clearly states that this is a functional utilitarian commuter motorcycle, and it's priced the bike in line with that claim. In fact, starting at around 71,000 rupees, this bike is priced almost exactly on par with the evergreen Hero Splendor, and that is a 97cc motorcycle. The higher disc variant that we're riding today is priced at 74,500 rupees ex-showroom Delhi, which also places it pretty much on par with the top end of the Splendor lineup. When compared to its direct 125cc rivals, the CT has a significant price advantage, with the likes of the Honda Shine and Hero Glamour starting at around the 78,000 rupee mark and going up to about 82,000 rupees, with special editions costing even more. Now, of course, the flip side to this is that the CT isn't exactly the most well-equipped motorcycle around. The headlight is a halogen unit and instrumentation is all analog. But you do get an LED DRL and a conveniently placed USB charger, which is quite nice. You also feel like this bike is built to a cost when you happen to notice the switchgear. It looks quite basic, but when you actually operate it, it feels quite solid and well put together, and there's no real reason for complaint here. Bajaj has even thrown in a pass switch. Now, the materials used in some places do feel a little crude and basic, like for example this tank pad here, but overall the CT 125X feels very well put together, and it exudes a nice tough solid vibe. On the chassis front, this bike is pretty much identical to the smaller CT 110X, so you get a split double cradle frame. But where we usually see these being constructed from circular tubes, Bajaj has instead opted for a square cross section, claiming that it increases rigidity. The frame is suspended on a conventional telescopic fork and twin shock absorbers, with the rear being adjustable for preload. Out of the box, with just my lightweight frame on board, the bike rode reasonably well, but I did feel an underlying firmness from the rear end at low speeds. The flip side was that it was well equipped to tackle large bumps at high speeds and never really ran out of travel. The firmness was also rectified to some extent by dropping rear preload. But it's important to remember here that this bike is designed to often carry a pillion and/or other heavy loads, and the robust setup here is going to come into its own under these conditions. When it comes to wheel sizes, Bajaj has stuck to its DNA and gone with 17-inch wheels, unlike the 18-inchers that you see on most of its rivals. But it's managed to make the bike ride quite well even on these wheels, so it's not really an issue. The only thing to note here is that at 810mm, the seat height is a little taller than most competitors, but most people should still be able to get both feet down with reasonable ease. Overall, you're sat in a commuter typical position, quite upright and comfortable. You don't feel cramped despite the bike's slender dimensions. All the controls are light and natural, but the all-down shift pattern will take some getting used to if you've come from a different format. The only major source of discomfort on this bike is the seat cushioning, which is extremely firm. One area of difference compared to the smaller CT is tyres. Here Bajaj has gone for 100% road-focused tyres as opposed to what it calls semi-knobby tyres on the CT 110. Bajaj says that since this is a 125cc motorcycle, it's expected to have some amount of basic highway capability, and that's why it's gone for road tyres. What this also means is that these Euro grips are now tubeless, unlike on the CT 110. The CT 125X has a lot going for it. It's not the sort of product that's going to have universal appeal. An urban office goer in a tier 1 city will probably want something a little more posh and polished. But there are a great many people out there to whom the utility and ruggedness of this motorcycle are going to have serious appeal, and the lack of features and equipment is not going to be a deal breaker to them. Then there's also the fact that you're getting 125cc performance for 100cc money, and that pricing is probably what's going to seal the deal for a great many to choose this as their workhorse.